Thank you for that, Linda. Now we have some more for families to share their comments regarding this treatment. We will start with David Stevens, who is visiting us from Coffs Harbour. He will describe how things are very different over the border, followed by Michelle Auer and Lanae Carter. Please welcome David.
Thank you. I don't have a speech. I just speak from whatever comes out. So whatever comes out. For you, most of you probably know not me, but my daughter Daisha from Facebook. And the ones who don't, just briefly, Daisha's had a very nasty form of epilepsy for the last 5 years called continuous spike and slow wave sleep syndrome. To give you a bit of an idea, her EEG in February last year was showing spike wave activity every 5 to 8 seconds, 24/7. At that current time, she was on 7 anticonvulsants as well as prednisone, and having those medications 4 times a day, and on an average between 4 and 6 mils of each medication. She wasn't responding to those, and we were basically told to take her home. She'd either pass away or she would continue to regress from those seizure activity. To me, being a parent, I couldn't do that. There had to be an answer out there, so we started researching. We found medicinal cannabis, and I don't like the word medical marijuana because it has that stigma with the recreational side of things, so I like to stick with medicinal cannabis. We researched that. I actually trekked to Nimbin at the Mardi Gras last year to listen to a medicinal forum up there on cannabis. Call her luck as if you may well, she actually went into a status, non-convulsive status while we were there. I'm in the front row of something very similar to this, holding my 7-year-old daughter who, as you know, would be unconscious. I listened to what they had to say, and there was people up there who basically in their backyard, so to speak, and there was also a doctor up there, or a deregistered doctor now, Dr. Andrew Catalaris. He saw Daisha, he stopped speaking at the time, he pulled us aside, we spent some time with Andrew. By the time we got home on a Tuesday, there was 2 bottles of medicinal cannabis oil in the mail for us at no cost. We saw differences in Daisha within 3 days. She started to become alive, her speech was improving. Within 3 weeks, all seizure activity ceased. To this day, she has been totally seizure-free. We were with her neurologist in Sydney Tuesday before last, and we've been on 8 weekly, 10 weekly visits there for the last 4 years to Sydney to see our neurologist. Her words were last Tuesday, and also that they are now able to speak more freely because of Sydney Children's Hospital are going to be part of the trials in New South Wales. So our neurologist told me last Tuesday that they were ecstatic with the results with Daisha, and at the end of the day she said, David, we have done nothing, you have done all this. She further went on to say, David, we're a phone call away, but you don't have to come back and see us. Now that's huge. That's a very, very important part. I mean, they're still bound by their ethics and codes and everything else like that, but to find doctors who will support you and listen to you in this whole process is very, very hard. Why I'm here today is we were up here on holidays last week, so I got to meet a lot of families last week with children in situations similar to us, or were in situations similar to us. And excuse the French, but it's bullshit. Basically, 100 kilometres away, you can be deemed safe, you can give your child medicinal cannabis or cancer or whatever you're treating for with no fear of persecution. Families I met last week up here are terrified of what the government are going to do, or the police. And it's not the police's fault. I mean, they're under guidance from what is in place. So I've come here today, and I'm not going to say much more about Daisy because most of you have seen it on Facebook, but to give you a bit of an outcome of how I achieved what we did in New South Wales. And I'm sorry, letter writing doesn't get you anywhere. It really, really doesn't. Make appointments to see your parliamentarian, your local members, have all your documentation, do video stories. They need to see families are real, and these children are dying, or the people with cancer or MS or whatever it is. We're real, and it shouldn't matter whether there's a border or a line drawn across it on a map. I mean, you should have that access to it whether it's in New South Wales, and there's huge things that have happened in New South Wales. I mean, what Mike Baird has done, he listened, you know. When he first made the announcement, it was just trials were going to be for medicinal cannabis for cancer patients. That wasn't good enough for me. We went public. In going public, we had no other support because no other organisation or most doctors wouldn't go with us. We went public. I went to my local member. And the only reason we went public was not for our sake, because we're still doing what we're doing and Daisy's still seizure-free. We're going to change anything. But families and people need to know out there, you know. So that's what we did. Our local member was very supportive because, you know, I'm not putting tears on myself, but I've won a 2011 New South Wales Carer of the Year award. I'm a current citizen of the Australia Day Awards for Citizen of the Year. So we're not recreational users. We never have, never will be. But we need to do something to save our daughter. I took all this to our local member, and he's also been a huge campaigner against recreational drugs. He saw what we were doing. He fully supported what we were doing. And after we did go public, we were docked into community services. They come out to see us. And this is a very important thing too, is if you are going to go forward and going to go public and use medicinal cannabis, document everything, be open about it, because if you try to hide it, it looks like you're trying to hide everything. So it's a big thing that we did. They come out, and I happened to have a local member sitting in my land room waiting for them, and he told them straight from the start they were fully supportive of what he did, what we're doing. So and we were sort of lucky because the case manager who came out from Docs was also an ex-nurse, so she could appreciate the side effects and everything else of the 7 anticonvulsants and the prednisone that we're doing. She was there for 2 hours. At the end of that 2 hours, she said, "David, we fully support what you are doing." She had to report back to her managers. Within 2 weeks, we had another phone call and case closed. So I really, really feel for you guys up here, because they're not listening, and you really, really have to push that point across and make it real. Make it, you know, hearing Hazel and everyone else before, I mean, it brings tears to my eyes, because it shouldn't be in that position. None of you should be in that position. And look, trials are happening, but the biggest reliever we've got, I mean, we're not waiting for trials, but we don't have that fear of persecution or a child being taken away from us. I mean, our politicians listened and acted. So get your stories out there, make appointments to see your members, and yeah, anything I can do.